Just one guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to go over some of the trades that we took throughout the week and how we kind of navigated the market based on the option charts and how I trade. So this week, it was definitely not the best week in the world. It was a very choppier week. Friday, we ended up having a pretty good day, but I'm not going to cover Friday. I'll go over that tomorrow. This is more so recap of the week and pretty much what we got. So if we go here on the 30-minute chart, you can just see if we zoom out here. On the put side, we were originally bearish on, or no, this is the wrong time frame. If we go here on the 30-minute, we were bearish last week at the close on Friday, and we ended up getting a big gap up over the weekend for Memorial Day, and that ended up causing this chart here to go negative. And I always go over this: when the 30-minute chart goes negative on one side, the premium, that usually pushes us in the direction to the other side. So that would be to the upside in this case. Since this is the puts, they're going negative, we're expecting to move higher on the call side. So yeah, going into the week, we were pretty much neutral. After this open on Monday or on Tuesday, it was a shorter week. So after this open here, we ended up closing below the 50. 10 was going below the 50. That told us, okay, bears are losing the trend, market's going neutral. So and then if we flip to the call side real quick, this is what we looked like on Monday. Let me go back here. On Monday, we were all the way back up in here. If I could scroll, it's not letting me scroll back for some reason, but yeah, right on Monday, or on Tuesday, my bad, we ended up, you could see, coming into this 30-minute 50. So this is the same exact time period as this last chart. So we had the 30-minute chart over here going negative. Like I said, we're expecting to move higher, and that's what we got on Tuesday. We ended up ripping all the way up into this 30-minute 50, which I'm surprised this actually ended up breaking. I know this was a trade that Colin took. He tried playing this reject right here, and I'm pretty sure he got stopped out for a small loss, 30 points, maybe 25 points, something like that. But if you wanted to give this a go, it's a very valid trade because bears lost the trend. We're getting a move into the 30-minute 50 on the call side. This is a major pivot on the 30-minute, so you could have gave that a go. You'd have got stopped out, but that is a trade I didn't take. I just didn't like the action. I just wanted to just be out of it from there, because I did take a trade before that, and that was on the call cross. So if we pull up the option charts, this is what we looked like. So this is from that rip up on the 27th, which is, I'm pretty sure that's Tuesday, right? Yeah, so on Tuesday, this is what we looked like off of the open. So you can see we got this massive green candle here at the open, which was this candle right here. This is the 9:30 open, because we did gap up. And when we get a chart like this, you don't want to just go right in and take the cross right off of open when the 50 SMA is at 0.6 and price is all the way at 120. Like, that's just not a trade you want to take. People kind of don't take common sense into account when they just take crosses. So if we're getting a cross, it's like, oh, according to the system, since we're crossing, I'm going to go long in this case. You got to wait, though. You got to wait for the pullback. So we got this pullback all the way down here to the 10 SMA. Honestly, you probably could have entered at this open candle right here. I'm not exactly sure what it looked like at the 9:35 candle of where the SMAs were, but definitely by this candle right here, this wick candle, that's where you would have entered, because it came pretty close to the 10 SMA, and you can see what happened from there. So it was this is a pretty good setup, because when we pair up the 30-minute chart going negative on the puts up back in this area, this is that 9:30 open on the 0-day chart, on the Friday chart. So this is us going negative, we're losing the 50, and we're expecting to move higher. And then this chart right here gives us the confirmation, okay, we're going to get that move higher, and this is the entry that we take. We always take the entries off the 0-day chart unless we're playing like that 50 SMA reject, which was on that last chart right here. See, this is why I was surprised that it did not reject, because you can see how sloped down this 50 is, and usually we would get some sort of reaction off of there, and that just didn't end up happening. It was a loss. Not every trade's gonna work, and this was a losing trade. I mean, it wasn't anything crazy, probably like 30 points if you took it, but like I said, this cross right here was enough for me, so I was not gonna take my chances on the reject. I just feel like the rejects aren't the best trade in the world. Like, when it comes to the system, the best trades are always those 0-day crosses. And another really high confidence trade is the 0-day cross, but it's when you have the 30-minute chart in line with the 0-day chart. So with this 30-minute chart going negative, it's the same thing as like a positive cross. When the 30-minute is going negative, or when the 30-minute is going positive, and we're getting that cross, and we get a 0-day cross to align in the direction of that 30-minute chart, that is like an A+++ setup, like super high confidence type of trade. So that's kind of how, like, this type of trade and like a trade when we're in a trending market are pretty much, in my opinion, the same like confidence levels in like how the trade's going to play out, just because of that 30-minute chart giving you that extra confirmation of in where we're going. So since we're going negative on the 30-minute on the put side and the calls are crossing on the 0-day chart, I mean, this is like a textbook setup right here that, it was a really good setup to take. So that's what I took on, what was that, Tuesday? And that's how, we kind of knew where we were going on Tuesday. Like I said, 30-minute going negative on puts. Bears are losing the trend, most likely going to see a move higher. And, I would expect that move to continue to go until that 30-minute 50 gets hit. Once that 30-minute 50 gets hit, I really wouldn't have that bullish bias because we already got that initial move on the negative cross. We got a good move on the 0-day chart. And this is where we could possibly reject from. It didn't reject, but that's where, I would expect, okay, I'm not really going to be that bullish anymore because we're at that major pivot point. So that's how I kind of read Tuesday and what my thought process was on Tuesday. And really the rest of the week there wasn't much going on. So this is right here, 30-minute chart, or not 30-minute chart, 5-minute chart. On Wednesday, the puts ended up crossing right here. So 10's going above the 50, and you guys know when we're taking across, the 10 has to be above the 50, and the 50 has to be flat or curling up. And you can see we didn't start curling up until this point right up in here. You can see on the chart where it starts to curl, that's where we entered. So I'm actually going to give you guys the exact screenshot of where I entered this. This was a break-even trade for me. So this is where I liked it. This is where it looked really good for me. So right here, you can see 10's above the 50, 50's curling up, and I'm taking this entry here at the 10 SMA because it's a low-risk entry. I mean, you can see where the 50 is. The 50 is at 235. Contracts are at 250. That's not even 10% on the premium. So very low-risk entry, and it actually ended up getting a move 20. It probably only dumped 20 points from this point, and then came back down to my fill. And I went break even just because the market was really choppy. And also, I don't think I had the exact screenshot, but the 30-minute chart on the call side actually ended up curling. So, or the 30-minute 50 ended up curling. I don't know if yeah, okay, so I do have the screenshot. So, I think somewhere in this area, I don't know exactly when. I don't know if this is the same day. No, this is Wednesday. So, the 30-minute 50 actually ended up curling, I think, at some point, which I think might have been on this candle while these puts were crossing. So, at the time, the 50 was still down, so I was willing to take this cross, but the 30-minute chart ended up curling. The 50 curled, and that pretty much, technically would flip us bullish, and this chart ended up going negative. You can see back in here, this is where the chart went negative, and this does look like a really good negative cross to take, but it really didn't give any. I think it gave 30 points max on this, but 10's going below 50. This is another trade opportunity you could have taken, just a simple negative cross. So since the put cross didn't work out, you could actually play the opposite way of this. So it's just a negative cross. That's when the 10's going below the 50, and it's the same concept. It's just the opposite direction of a normal cross. So you would have entered probably, the 10 SMA would have been your best spot right here, the 10/50. Maybe you could have jumped the gun a little bit and taken an entry on this wick candle right here. But honestly, best opportunity was this 10/50 SMA area, and you probably could have squeezed 30 points out of this. I'm not exactly sure what the chart looked like after this, but that was a opportunity you could have taken. But with how choppy the market was, if you sat out, it makes sense. I wouldn't try and take every single trade the system gives. That's what so you got to understand with the system. You don't got to take every single trade it gives. When the market's chopping around, your best thing to do is just look for that one setup depending on the market. Obviously, if we're neutral, you're just going to be looking for that 0-day cross. If we get the 0-day cross, go take it. If it doesn't play out, move on to the next day because the conditions the odds just aren't in your favor. So, that's what you could have taken on Wednesday. I'm not exactly sure what other charts we have here. This was a 30-minute chart on Wednesday still, I believe. I actually ended up buying this 50 dip. This was kind of a higher risk trade. I went over this in the video I posted on Wednesday, but it was pretty simple. I mean, 30-minute chart, 50 dip, market's technically bullish in this scenario because the 50's curling. You can see 10's above the 50. The 50 is curling up. We got this massive dump on a 5-minute candle. It was it might have been a 100-point nuke, and I just grabbed some long. It was a high risk trade. I waited for the price to settle a little bit because the move down was so aggressive. So I waited for the next 5-minute candle open, and I just grabbed some long because we are sitting at a major support. I saw us starting to wick above the 50, so grabbed some long and got a nice move out of it. I think I got 70 to 80 points on this. It was a very quick trade too. I think I held the trade for 10 minutes. It was 70, 80 point move. It was really quick, and you can see the massive move we ended up getting. And then this move actually ended up reversing, and I think this chart went negative or something like that. So very, very weird day on Wednesday. Very volatile day in the afternoon. But yeah, that's what you could have taken. And I think this was Thursday. Very simple concept right here. We're just playing this cross. I actually ended up taking a loss on this. It looked really good. Like this setup right here, this is a picture perfect cross. Just didn't end up playing out. It's probably because this move was so aggressive at first, and since we're neutral, there's no trend, and this chart just ended up giving out. So 10 going above the 50. I bought this dip to the 10, and we just ended up breaking below the 50 and getting stopped out for 30 points. Or it might have been like 35, but if you took this is a good setup. I mean, there's nothing you could do. Sometimes it just doesn't play out. I actually played this twice. I got in as this 50 SMA was breaking, so I actually was able to catch like 100 points. And then I tried taking another stab at it on this 10 SMA dip. This 50 was flat, so as soon as it started breaking and the 10 was up hard, I gave it a go, and it just immediately went in my favor. So that's pretty much what we did throughout the week. I don't think there really was anything else. Actually, this is on Friday. I'll go over that tomorrow. But that's pretty much what we did throughout the week. Very weird week. There really wasn't any trend in the market. You could see on like the 30-minute charts, even going in the end of the week, there was no trend. Market was neutral pretty much the entire week. And yeah, I mean, once these 30-minute charts cross, then we know what side has the trend. But it's pretty funny because the market's been chopping because we've been neutral. There hasn't been much opportunity. When the market gets trending, one of these 30-minute charts, either the calls or the puts will be crossed, and from there it's very easy to read the market because when we know one side has the trend, we just focus on that side of the trend. We play the 0-day crosses in the direction of that trend, and we buy the 50 dips in the direction of the trend, negative crosses in the direction of the trend. It's very, very simple once we get that 30-minute trend to get going. So that's what we're going to be looking for going into next week. Hopefully we could get some sort of good trades on, because we did end Friday on a good note. Market started moving nicely, so hopefully we could carry that into next week. But I'll have a video up tomorrow of a recap from Friday, what we took, how we played it, and how we came out green. So that's pretty much all I got. If you guys enjoyed, drop a sub. It's probably a lot of information. May seem confusing, but if you watch all the videos and just keep up with how we take these trades and to keep up with these charts, you'll definitely pick up on things and learn. So yeah, that's all I got. If you guys enjoyed, drop a sub. If you guys want to learn, join Discord down below. But that's all I got. I'm out. Peace.